Our work started after the security intelligence services intercepted a shipment that was going out from Roissy Airport marked as electrical goods. Upon inspection, it was proved to be material of extreme sensitivity, classified in fact as war material by the French Ministry of Defense, and it had been destined to be exported to a country in the Middle East which was known for receiving shipments into its free ports and then diverting them to a country of proliferation concern.
In short form, WMD proliferation is the illegal acquisition, export, and ultimately use of nuclear, biological, or chemical weapons and their means of delivery, such as missiles and drones and so on. Proliferation financing is basically the provision of funds or financial services in achieving those goals.
What we found was that European-based agents of a foreign power that was a country of proliferation concern had approached the company here in France with a view to acquiring calibration and guidance system for drones. This company, although it only had 3 employees, had a high technical capacity for acquiring subcomponents and parts from third parties and undertake the development work on them which would enable them to be assembled into a complete system. It was a crime. They knew what they were doing was criminal, and they were effectively bribed to do it.
Countries which, in breach of applicable UN resolutions, want to acquire these weapons and systems generally can't produce the complete system themselves. So they have to procure the missing elements from abroad, and to do so without setting off alarm bells. And for these purposes, they will have at their disposal all the tools of the professional money launderer or financier of terrorism: shell companies, front companies, opaque ownership structures, banks, law firms, etc., etc.
They were deliberately aiming to prevent anyone other than themselves having a complete overview of the transactions. So in this case, the proliferators structured the deal in 2 parts or sides. On one side, they used a front company and a third diversion company, which used its accounts with 2 banks there to make a series of open payments to the French integrated company for around 45% of the material. And then, on the other side, for the remaining 55%, they had another front company and a 4th diversion country open letters of credit with various foreign branches of a bank there, including its branches in London and New York. So, the payments were made under the LCs. And this was all separate, so the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, and vice versa.
The countries from which the equipment is being exported are generally very well aware of its sensitivity. It's either equipment which only has a direct military application, like military-grade fuses and detonators, or it's what are termed dual-use goods, items which potentially have both military and civil applications, things like magnets, oscillators, scanners, that sort of thing. They will almost always be subject to export control and or sanctions restrictions. And so proliferators will try to get around that by forging documentation and certificates, obscuring the true nature of the goods, hiding their end destination by, for example, using diversion countries as a first destination, and sometimes by using corporate measures to gain control of the supply chain.
In this case, the French integrated company needed to source components from a Norwegian manufacturer which specialized in aeronautics. It was actually a supply to the Norwegian army. In order to co-opt them and make it less likely anyone would question what was going on, they took an equity position in the Norwegian supplier's capital, so that effectively they were exporting this equipment to themselves.
I would say that the most important message for people from cases like this, whether they're in exporting companies or working in banks or law firms or wherever, is first of all to be aware of this as an issue, and for it to be one of the things that you think of when you sense that something's not quite right or doesn't quite make sense. And secondly, it's to know your customer, to know their business and how they make their money, and in particular, whatever the commercial pressures on you, to take note when a customer seems unwilling to speak normally about the deal and to provide background information, and then to escalate that immediately to your compliance unit.